All right, so welcome everyone. And what we will be doing tonight is one main thing, and that's giving to a giver, supporting a giver, Carlos Miches, who I'm sure that we've all experienced his capacity for contribution, for giving. He's had an incredibly difficult time beginning in the summer with multiple strokes, and he's currently going through intensive rehab, but he seems to be doing better. What I want to do is first provide a little background, a little context as to what this is, because we actually do this twice a year. So in Dragon Nation, which is the membership division of Men's Victory Path, twice a year we have contribution competitions. And in the competition, what happens is teams are prepared at least a week beforehand, where they're told to come in prepared to deliver 3 minutes on a cause that is personally important to them and their personal connection to that cause. And we gamify it. It's a competition, because what will happen is each man has his 3 minutes. They score each other silently. And then at the end, the points are totaled up, and it's on a scale of 1 to 10. Whoever wins that competition, that's the contribution champion that arises from that contribution competition. And then from there, it is up to that contribution champion to now lead his team in fundraising efforts for his cause. And we began this practice in 2021, again, doing it twice a year. But this time around, we're doing it different. This time around, we came into agreement to do it for Carlos, right, for a former member. And what's really interesting is that Carlos is actually twice a contribution champion. The last time, which I think was earlier this year, he broke records and or set a new record for fundraising for the organization Unlocking Futures. So he raised more money for that organization than ever before. They had a bowling event. He participated in that. Some of us participated in that. He really went all out. And if you know Carlos, you know that that's the kind of person that he is. He is such a giver. When it comes to contribution, he is so oriented around that. So this time around, it's different, because now we have gathered, and it was unanimous. We agreed we're going to do this for him. So now we're giving to him. You could say to honor his legacy of contribution. So we still decided to keep the contribution competition aspect of it, because it does it becomes a practice and a training in purposeful influence. And Wes Murray is the contribution champion now. So what was different and what's funny is that every man was basically fighting for the same cause, to support Carlos Miches. But we still wanted to have the competition, and then that man was going to officially own that contribution project for Carlos. So Wes Murray, and I'm gonna turn it over to you in a bit. Murray, I wanted to ask you, is this your 4th or 5th time?
So this is my 4th time.
Okay, so this is your 4th time being, all right. So you currently hold a record as the person with the greatest wins, being the contribution champion the most number of times. First, before we get into specifically this one, what would you say is your secret sauce?
I would say that if there was a secret sauce, is just coming with a high context, a reason, not only why it would benefit, the people in question, but also how it could benefit myself and also others who were participating in those contribution efforts.
Yep, got it. Give us a quick history. What was your first contribution? What was the cause that you were first the contribution champion of?
The first one, it was a shelter for homeless pregnant women in Park Slope called CHIPS. And then the reason why that was, well, there was a couple of reasons why that was important to me. One was because I actually volunteered there like a gazillion years ago, and I helped paint the front of their facade, right? And I had gotten to know at the time, just volunteering or whatever. And at the time, I had gotten to know what it was about, and then I gotten to talk to one of the women that were actually there and how it benefited her. And I got to just kind of really see how it's operating. And what I didn't know at the time was that Chips also had a soup kitchen that were feeding, 200 people per day. I think it was 200 families, 200 people. So, you know, it, so that one was a just a personal one, just because I actually like got my hands dirty in it and felt really connected to,
Mm.
um, you know, and yeah, so that was the first one.
Mm-hmm. And the second?
Sorry, I'm a little distracted. So for people who don't know, I am a full-time caregiver for my grandmother who's suffering from dementia. And so I may have to get off in a second because Murphy's Law, right? So, um, uh, yeah, so well, I will tell you the one that is on my mind right now. It was a um, contribution project for my mother, who was my grandmother's original caregiver. At the time, she had recovered from heart surgery, and she needed support around hiring a physical therapist, um, and also finding somebody who could take care of my grandmother while she was at her therapist getting that work done.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to raise over 10,000 for that as well.
Got it. That one was obviously very personal.
That was very personal, and for a few reasons that it was a challenge for me because it was so personal,
Mm.
and I had to dig deep into myself and remind myself that this is what we do. This is why we're here, is to support and bring help into the world, into our communities. And this was the first time that we were actually within our community bringing something up and supporting it that way. So, and I say that because this gives us an opportunity. So we have precedent in what we're doing today. And, and Miches was a huge part of that contribution project being a success.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. And what has happened since? So you became the full-time caregiver for your grandmother. How did that come to be?
Yeah. So we were able to provide services for PT. Unfortunately, my mom passed away about 6 months later. And, and as a result of that, I was, the closest relative who had the means of being able to take care of her. And also I had a conversation with my mom before she passed. She made it very clear that she didn't want strangers taking care of her. She wanted family. And so we had a couple of conversations about it. At the time, I didn't know that, her days were numbered, but as a result of that, I'm honoring her request, as we're of taking care of, a lot of ways. That's my buddy, she was raising me, my mom was going to work, between the ages of 0 to 5, 6 years of age.
Mm.
And then even beyond that. So it was, for me, it was a no-brainer. I had, had my life set in New York City. I was living in New York City for the last 20 years, and then in a matter of days, relocated to Maryland. I've been taken care of ever since. So I've been a full-time caregiver now for a little over 2 years.
Mm. Understood. I would imagine that's been quite a journey.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Understood, man. And despite that, you've still been participating in these contribution projects. Do you need to go?
I need to go.
Okay. All right. So that's what it's like being a caregiver. I have been in that role for each of my parents right until the end. My father made it to 92 and my mother to 86. And I know a little something of what that's like to have to care for an elder. So got to acknowledge Murray for doing so. What I was going to say is, despite what he's having to do moving down to Maryland, and he couldn't get his sister to cover him today, you could see him probably in the background there walking his grandmother through the hallway in front of the door, maybe blurred out, but I saw it pretty clear. And that's commitment. That's commitment to contribution, and that's what it looks like. So, one, his commitment obviously to his grandmother, but and then two, his commitment to still be of service elsewhere and to be here despite his sister not being able to cover him tonight and just still making this work no matter what. So that's what it looks like. And Murray goes back to my very first men's team of 2007. So we got some history together. That being said, first of all, it's good to see some of your familiar faces on here. Thank you for being here. Phil Angeles, Ruben Castillo, and I see Murray's beginning to make his way back. Okay.
Okay.
Back in action.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. I invite you to watch the video, man, because I was acknowledging you for the work that you're doing with your grandmother as a commitment of service, and then not getting coverage from your sister and still being here. So that's like a double commitment to contribution as I see it. So thank you for doing so.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Appreciate it.
So, and you got some history with this. I mean, you're a 4-time winner now, but again, this time it was different. So what was it about this time?
What was it about? You talking about Miches? Is that what you, which one
Yeah.
you're referring to?
Yeah.
Um, well, you know what? When we were having, we were kind of having in our meeting, which was I don't want to call it a contest, but each man explained why they wanted to support Miches and why I wanted to be the leader. And when it was my turn, I just said, okay, every 4 or 5 men have said Miches is a great man. And I just said, okay, well, here's a plan. Here's a plan of how we can support him. And so I kind of had PowerPoint presentation and week by week analysis of how we can support this man. And yeah, so it just came down to I'm ready for action and ready to get this done because, like you said, this is a server. Miches is a server. Everyone who knows him has a story of how he's was stepped out of his own ego to help support that man or woman, regardless of the situation. So.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because there are so many people, of course not here, but that we have a WhatsApp group in his support, and there's almost 90 people in there. Right. And they're in there for a reason. He just had some more visitors, apparently. Looks like it was earlier today. I'm only just seeing updates on this. People, and he's not in the city anymore, but people have still made it work. Could be a 2.5 hour drive from New York, but some of us are still making it work. So he's still getting visits, he's still getting support, and that's what we're here for also, is to help raise money for him. What could you really acknowledge in someone like Carlos Miches that you think is something that people should aspire to be or to have more of?
There are a lot of things about that man that I could mention, but for me personally, and this is the first one that comes to me, is that I've hung out with Miches on a number of occasions. And now by nature, I am a reserved person. I know some of you men are surprised to hear that, but it is true. By nature, I'm a reserved person. When I'm in environments that I'm not familiar with, I sort of clam up, become the wallflower, speak when spoken to sort of thing. And Carlos, he walks into a room and everybody will know that he is there. He talks to everybody. He makes strangers feel comfortable. And in New York City, sometimes that's a miracle. And he has no problem going out of his way to crack a smile, to get crack a joke, get a smile out of everyone around him. And there have been more than one occasions when I'm just looking, I'm thinking to myself, ain't no way I have that in me, right? And it's just a lesson. It's a lesson on what it's like to really being in the presence of other people, not being in your head, not thinking about what you're doing, saying, yada yada in that situation. It's just a reflection of who he is, and it's just natural. It's just his way of being. And dare I say, he has life of the party energy. And but he brings that with him no matter where he goes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Thank you for sharing that. Curious to know from those that know him, if there's anything that same question, what can you acknowledge him for that you think the world could use more of?
He's got, this is Aaron, and yeah, Carlos has such keen awareness of other people, their discomfort or anything they might need. He's so thoughtful and he's really present, as Murray said. He's so present and there for people, and he's thinking about. He always reaches out to me. I was thinking about you. He says and does the things we don't do, but we ought to do. And he is in connection. He still reminds me about people's birthdays. Gives me a heads up to go wish them a happy birthday. That's the kind of man he is. Carlos Miches.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, Sully. Yeah, for me, Carlos is authentic, man. He's transparent. He's authentic. Forgot a word you used, Aaron, but for me, he is so real. He gives it to you real. He doesn't hold back, and he always seems to be able to read you better than I could read myself. He like almost reads between my lines. He has a keen sense, and he's always interested and making sure that you're good, and he always leaves you better than you when you found him. Always.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Dan. Yeah, Carlos is always offering his time, offering to lend an ear. no matter what situation is in. When he was taking the train, between New York and Pennsylvania, just always, no matter what the situation, was open to hearing if I, needed to talk something out. Always looking for ways to give. I remember one time he was volunteering at Landmark, and then in his free moment, some downtime, he went out and handed out, sandwiches and waters to people on the street. And it wasn't just like handing it out. He was having full conversations, helping people, talking to people, holding court, talking to, people like he talks to everybody else,
Mm,
just, yeah, makes you feel seen, makes you feel heard.
mm, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Who else? And this could be a memorable experience that you have of him being of service in some way.
You know what? I'll go again. I have a specific, at least one that rings to me personally, is that when I helped him move, when he was moved out of the Bronx. And it was funny because he had a black chair that I had asked him about it, and because I was thinking about getting me a chair. And he loved his chair. And it was what, and when I was there was I guess it was the first time I actually saw the chair in person, and I was just like, sat on it. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. This is a hell of a chair. I don't know how much you spent on it, but it's pretty good. He's like, yeah, you can have it if you want it. I was like, but this is your chair. He's like, so he was like, he's like, you're my buddy, you're my friend. If you, I know you like it, so take it.
Mm,
And I was just like, mind blown.
mm,
So it was, and it was just on one more example of just how much of a giver this guy is, right?
mhm. And it's funny because you're there to help him move. So you're there in a way to
Exactly.
contribute to him. And he winds up contributing something to you that he saw caught your eye.
Exactly.
Yep. That was his way. Anybody else?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't say enough about Miches. It's been a brother for a long time, and for everybody. He's always been there. He's always been um a sense of tranquility for all the people around him, and sometimes in life we need that. We need that more than often. I am beside myself thinking about the amount that this man has given, the amount of people he has given to. And I always knew he was a giver. Um, but to see the number of people and hear the stories of the things that he's been involved in and done for people is it's unreal. I've never in my life heard of anyone doing anything as much as him. Like I just haven't. And I do want to share a story. When I went up to see him, I had put something in the group. Anyone who wants to come, just meet us here at this time, jump in the car, and someone did, and I didn't know this person, never met the person all my life, and it was just an amazing experience to meet someone else that Carlos was so friendly with and in service to in a time of need, and the stories that just rolled out on that 2.5 hour trip were unreal. And I don't think it'd be anything. I mean, I'm not going to say any names, but the person first met Carlos interviewing him for a position, And he was like, "You want to come to a party?" Like he was inviting this person to a party in Manhattan, and this person was like, "What?" Like how unprofessional and how, and you know, I think by the end of the conversation, she was going to the party with him, and he got the spot. You know, and that's just a Carlos move. And to think, you know, years down the road, this person had a really bad accident and was immobilized, um, and really wasn't accepting help from people, except Carlos would show up to the hospital every day and help this person relearn to walk.
Mm,
And I gotta tell you, like the person marched up to my car with no issues, but the person swears by, you know, Carlos's dedication
mm,
to that person just showing up every day in service, helping that person to relearn to walk when the person didn't want anything to do with anybody else.
mm.
And that's just the man. That's
Mhm.
just the man. That's it.
Yep, yep. I know that story. You're absolutely right. She really trusted him to show up every day and from through his help have her walk again. Um, and just to do that on the daily is huge. Um, yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I got to share one thing because Dan Hershon asked me for this recently, so it reminded me of it. He asked me for a picture of Carlos, and there was a classic picture of him in action when we were volunteering at the Xavier Mission, and you were the chef, Phil. And you're in that picture, and I used that picture became the classic picture for the Xavier Mission because I used it for at least I think a couple of years or so to promote future events at the Xavier Mission. It was like this was the image, and it was you, and you were a chef, right? So you were bringing your professional experience. I think we had some crazy um chicken stuffed with goat cheese, something like really crazy gourmet that you can make. And Miches was in that kitchen with you, and it's a picture of him like from the back, looking like this with his arm reaching over. And that is so symbolic of who he is at a volunteer event in the kitchen, making it work. And he did that so many times. And in creating that WhatsApp group and hearing people's stories, and this is why I'm asking for this also, because, you know, like you, Phil, you get connected to how people not only met him, but there's always a great story.
Yeah.
There's always a great story, right? And it's him being of service in some way, bringing fun because he was just a walking embodiment of fun. Um, and he would just bring it almost everywhere he went, right? So even to apparently a professional interview. So yeah, thank you for sharing that story. It reminded me of that picture, and you were partly responsible for that.
Yeah. My pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Mhm. Ellens, welcome to the call, man. It's good to see you here. What we're doing is going around and just answering one of two questions, but it's really a variation. What do you know Carlos Miches has brought so much of that the world could use more of? Or the best memory that you have of him being a giver? Since he really just had that in him, he was such a giver. Anybody else that would like to go?
I I think that I certainly struggled in the past with assertiveness and directness, and Miches was always a no bullshit kind of guy. Is always a no bullshit kind of guy, and he when when you did something that wasn't the right thing to do, wasn't the adult, manly, smart thing to do, he would not skip a beat to let you know. And I definitely think that had a big impact on me and the positive steps that I've taken in advancing my own career and musical career. Because I had people like Carlos Miches to show me the way through
Mm,
action.
yeah. Thank you for pointing out that side of him that hadn't been pointed out yet. You're absolutely right. He was like a sniper in that way. Thank you for that.
Of course. I'm sort of out of the loop. Maybe we could catch him out. I don't know how he's been doing other than just occasionally checking in, reading through the messages.
Better. He shared a video of he was lifting his left leg. So he's gotten mobility on the left side of his body. I think that was as of a couple of weeks ago or so. So he's definitely getting stronger because that was the biggest area of lack. He had sensory input, but not motor. Now he's got some motor function again. And I would imagine that soon he'll be standing and walking slow and, just progressing until he's able to, start living life in the way that he was prior to this.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. I've got so many to choose from, but some relate to him helping me with the 3-day immersion, with the Awaken the Dragon immersion, because he would sometimes see, I wouldn't normally allow this, especially from somebody helping with production, being a production manager, which was his official role. But if he had something to say, I knew I better let him. And at each immersion, he did so. And it was always some very keen observation that, at least one of you pointed out here, and the no bullshit, no nonsense thing, but coming from such a place of contribution, love, empathy, compassion, and just forwarding the room in that way. So he would shift gears and like change hats and go from doing production and helping out with sound or with something tech or something physical, and then be able to shift gears and go into, wait a minute, I see something here to give to in this particular man. And he did that at each immersion. And I just knew, unleash. Because I knew he was going to bring something of tremendous value. And I know he did that at each of your immersions for those of you that have done them. And 3 of you here did it together. Anybody else before we shift gears?
He's great with kids. He's great with kids and animals. It's just he's able to connect with people and things that are almost people, kids and animals. Yeah, he's so friendly. This is a picture of him with my dog. She doesn't, I can't even hold her, and he's able to hold her. So go figure. But yeah, he loves animals and they love him. And yeah, he's so great. He's and he's still great. He's just, yeah, he needs our help.
Yeah, it's an interesting, I think it's worth pointing to the reversal in a way, because he was such a giver and a giver and a giver. Now he is forced to have to receive. And in doing so, he's still giving because he's now connecting people from different areas of his life, sharing stories about him, and especially those contribution stories, and able to acknowledge different aspects of him that everybody's going to agree on, because Miches is a walking experience. That's what he is, right? He's an experience.
I'm sorry, that is so real. I mean, that is the perfect way to put him. A walking experience. And a sniper, by the way. And a sniper.
Yes.
And
And he
in
just,
all areas, kids, animals, adults, men, women,
Mhm.
Like he is a sniper and he knows his audience.
Yeah, because he brings that level of empathy that he's already in your world before you even know it. Right? He's just in there in your world and able to get a sense of what's needed. And he just knows what to bring. And I used to acknowledge him. Sometimes I used to tell him, like, you need to trust your instincts more because most of the time they are so goddamn sharp. Trust your instincts more because they are so sharp. Whatever's there for you, just speak it because it is 99% of the time likely it's going to be a contribution. Just speak it. So, but yeah, he's definitely a walking experience. And so people just they don't forget that about him. So with the almost 90 people in that WhatsApp group currently providing support in whatever way they can, coordinating car rides, like me and Hervé Bertrand, when we went to see him, we drove somebody that I'd been connected to on Facebook for years, but I'd never met. And then we got to know him on the car ride up there and on the way back, right? And just sharing stories because, it's an interesting thing. Relationships get formed based on shared experiences. And Carlos Miches is an experience into himself. And so what you get is about 90 people in a WhatsApp group that have him as a shared experience. And now we get to give to him. Anybody else? Castillo, anything you'd like to say?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just first time testing this out. I wish I went first because you all went hard on that. Basically everything everybody said. He constantly reminds me how much of a giver I am. Sometimes I do forget that. This one time where he asked me for a favor, he found out that I lived down the block from him in the Bronx. And he keeps reminding me that I just like said yes and like helped him out. It was like a whole day thing, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, even outside, like just like meeting random people, like it's like you said, it's always an experience. Like he's very sharp with everything. Like he reminds me of who I used to be, who I want to be at the same time. The person. Like no bullshit, just straight up, straightforward, uplifting, offering services, etc. So he's a walking Jesus Christ, but like in his own way. You know.
Uh-huh. Able to walk on water and all that. Yeah, thank you for sharing all that. And you reminded me of, yeah, it's he may ask something of you, he'll never forget it when you do for him. Right now, like I know he was just so stunned and floored earlier on in the WhatsApp group with how many people were giving and how much he had to receive, and he was just so floored by it. But I think he's also a walking embodiment of that old saying of what you give out is what you'll get back. Something along those lines. And so now he gets to get back a lot of what he's given.
The words of the Beatles, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make.
Good musical reference. Thank you for that, man. Murray, I want to turn it over to you. What's the target? What's the intention here? Maybe some of the game plan. Let's start getting into some optics here.
Okay, no, not a problem. So, so the good news is we've, with actually no real effort, honestly, we were able to raise over $10,000 for Carlos. And that is just putting it out to the people, and I say this, putting it out to our circles and people who we think is in Carlos's circles, so that sort of thing. I say that to say is that it was just like a half effort, right, to raise what we've raised so far. So the question now is like, well, what would it really look like if we really went like all in on this, like 10 out of 10, which is how this concept came up, right? So well, first I'll just let you know like what the team has so far, and what we plan on doing, and then I'll talk about how everyone can help out. So we're doing the whole thing. We're going to do a social media blitz. We're going to be supporting each other, reaching out to other communities that are adjacent with the communities that we serve, that intertwine with Miches, for instance, Unlocking Futures. Getting in touch with their leadership and seeing how they can support us, that sort of thing. So we're really taking it on a community level and putting it outside of just casual conversation. And one of the things that looks like is that, well, actually, because of the work that we do and the circles that we're in, we are in a larger community of other servers, other givers, and some of them do it professionally. So we have many people who are donating their services, such as coaching, other services that we're getting clear on. I mean, I know we had somebody at one point was going to donate room and board, like an Airbnb or something like that. I got to get clear if that's still happening. But, so this is a real opportunity for all of us to like sort of step it up, take it to the next level, and really getting it out there. And what that also looks like is, we have a creative team, we have a social media team, we have an outreach team to really get the word out. And now, Reyes, should I put the link in the chat room, or
Which link?
the his current GoFundMe?
Oh yeah. And because right now I got the file open in front of me. I've got the latest update for the people that are donating their services and vacation rentals and so on for donations from people at different levels. So I'm just clarifying that right now.
So now, to be determined, but we are going to be creating an event where we're going to give people an opportunity to sort of pick and choose the kind of, when they donate, the kind of coach that they want to work with, or the kind of service that they want to work with. We're going to donate, like I said, an event just specifically for that. But we will also make sure that these services are also known throughout the progress. So, for instance, before I became a full-time caregiver, I was in the New York City, in the fitness industry in New York City for over 20 years. I've trained all kinds of people. I've trained celebrities, athletes, housewives, husbands, CEOs, the full shebang, right? And and it'll be an awesome opportunity to get my feet wet again, to help somebody, that sort of thing. So we're going to, we're going to have a separate event for that, for people who want to donate their services. How you can help out in addition to that is, just reach out to us, reach out to me. with support, like saying, passing on any kind of social media thing, posts or anything like that. That talks about Miches and videos that we create, that sort of thing. It really is a grassroots level, but the more people are involved, the more we can build it up and create momentum that will really take it to the next level.
Hmm. I'd like to
So, look,
quickly
I
go
need,
through.
I need,
Yeah,
I
go
need
ahead.
a little, I need a little clarity on kind of you like how this works, right? So,
Mhm.
if I'm going to be talking to people about this, and giving donations, and what it seems like that I'm seeing and hearing is that, based on the level of donation that they give, they're eligible
Mhm.
for some of those other services that people are donating, or do they get directly connected to it, or is it like a lottery that 10 people are bidding on something? Like, I need a
Got
little
it.
bit of clarity.
Yep, I was just going to provide you with that. You just intercepted me. So,
Go ahead.
at different donation levels, if there's more than one service being offered at that, basically it's a donation gift. If there's more than one service being offered at a certain donation level, then say if you're the donor at the $250 level, you get to choose which of those whatever number of services are being offered at that level. So you get to decide. Now, there is a limit. So it's up to the donor of the services. It could be one per person, two per person. I've got some of them here. We got somebody donating at the $1,000 level, 6 sessions, and that has a $1,200 value. Somebody else offering 2 sessions valued at 500, and she's donating that at the $250 value donation level. $1,000. We got cooking classes here being offered. 2 of those available for people. We've got the Hudson Valley Retreat, and so this is a 2-night stay, sometime between January 17th through February 12th. You choose. That's at the $1,000 level. At the $50 level, there's a personalized 6-stanza rhyming poem for any occasion. Yeah, I wonder who that's from.
I don't know. Sounds handsome.
And we got private coaching at the $250 level. This one's for me. I'll offer 3 sessions. At the $1,000 level, I'll offer 3 sessions. And then on top of that, a free ticket to the 3-day immersion, The Awaken the Dragon, in the spring of 2025. That one is specifically for men. I'll give access to this entire listing. Dan Hershon was on this call at the $250 donation level. He's got video editing, 5 hours worth. At the $500 level, he will do 10 hours worth of video editing. And then at the $500 level, you also get to choose with him. He'll do a certain level of animation, and we got specifics on that, and that's limited to 1 person for each of those. So I will make sure that all of this becomes visible so that this becomes part of the promo. And so when you donate at a certain level, you'll be able to choose your gift if there are multiple gifts available at that donation level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's almost like if someone's interested in something, it's almost like a first come first serve.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So okay, people got to be on it if they want it.
There you go. Boom. Got to be
Yeah.
on it if you want it.
That
So
sounds like a
Hervé
catchphrase to
Bertrand.
me if I ever heard one.
What was that?
I said that sounds like a catchphrase if I ever heard one.
Mm-hmm. And then Murray, you put up the GoFundMe on there, right? So what we'll
Correct.
do is we will as a person donates, if they donate at a certain level and they qualify for a gift, they get to choose the gift. If it's still available, then we will put the donor in touch with the service provider and take it from there. Make sense? And so I
Yeah.
just went
So
through the
so if someone scrolled through the pages and did the math based on what people are offering, because I'm guessing that like you can just donate to donate, right? You don't need to donate necessarily for a gift, right? Or to choose something. And I think that's important for people to also wrap their heads around, because if you do the math, there's a cap out limit.
That's right.
right? What it kind of seems like.
Mhm.
But I really don't feel like, especially when it comes to Miches, there's any cap on Miches,
Mhm.
right? So it's like, yes, there's a cap out limit on that, but it's Miches. So, just getting people to donate for the cause of who he is and who he's been and who he'll always be is priority.
That's exactly right, man. Contribution. Like purely in the spirit of contribution. That's why we do this thing twice a year. And this time around, it happened to be for him, who set the last record of fundraising anyway. So here we are, we're giving back to him. So yes, if a person donates at a certain level, they can choose if they would like a donation gift or not. They could just give to give. And that's either way, it is greatly appreciated. The people that donated services, they're doing it also because that's also their way of contributing. So whatever works for people. Okay, so I'm gonna close this out now. 30 seconds or less, final words, the biggest thing you're walking away from tonight.
Yeah,
I'll
this is so.
share. Oh, snap. This is Aaron Friedman. I'm walking away that Carlos Samuel Miches is a very unique individual, and he has many aspects to him, and his kindness and his heart, his laser focus and his thoughtfulness and great interactions. And we owe it to him to help him in every way we're able to, and really connect as we are doing all kinds of people and worlds and skills together to support this man who helps others in so many ways.
Mm. Mm. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Sully. Just my heart is filled right now, and we haven't even started. We barely touched the surface on this. So just and the action of giving and contributing to Carlos is just filling my heart, and I'm looking forward to getting this started and to take care of him.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, it got present too, as you mentioned before, Carlos, even in this moment of receiving, is bringing us all together, is even giving us opportunities to help out and to do all this and to share these stories, which makes me feel good, reminds me of fun things, fun times. Yeah, so even in this time of receiving, he's still giving.
Yeah, he'd have it no other way.
I'm reminded of that old saying, like, how do you give the person who has everything, right? It's like, how do you contribute to a person who has contributed to so many people? And this is, in my opinion, the biggest but easiest way to do that.
Thank you. Who else? Let's see you. What are you walking away with from tonight, man?
I often forget the support that we have as, let's say, the men's group. And whoever organized this whole thing is a genius, and this is a huge thing to like give back to him. And it puts me in a place where I'm like, damn, I have not been offering my services, or just like in general, just giving, um, going through my own thing. And it's great to see like how every day we're like in communication in the chat and like keeping tabs on him and stuff like that. you know. I often forget about that, so it's another takeaway.
For me, I'm reminded of Tony Robbins' words when he says, the secret to living is giving. And I'm real present to that here. We're giving back to a giver. And even in so doing, he's still freaking giving. Because you would have it no other way. And at this point, we're giving, we're sharing stories, we're sharing experiences, where we're creating further connection, even beyond our usual social circles. And he would love that. That's just who he is. And it's great to be able to connect people across different areas of his life and to meet people from different areas of his life that have they have those stories to share, but to especially experience how he has impacted them. I just, it really leaves me with like, God damn, how does one person give so much? You'd really like, God damn, unlocking futures, landmark, here in men's circles, and we go back to MDI together. There are times in which I'd be in seminar rooms and he would just be there assisting, even if he hadn't done the damn seminar yet. He just, that was just his thing. And I'm like, how the hell does one person give so damn much? So that's what I'm walking away with. Anybody else before we close out? Okay, then. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to be here. There was someone who said some time back that sometimes the greatest contribution you can give is your listening, that in and of itself is a contribution. And so thank you for listening, and thank you for speaking purposefully, because acknowledgement itself is a form of contribution. So I wanted to make sure that should Carlos watch the recording of this, which he better, that he gets all of the acknowledgement and really gets the impact that he has had on people. And that's why we are here this time around, which we had never done it like this before since 2021. So he gets to feel special. He's special. Okay, man. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being on here. Thank you for your commitment to contribution and to service. I'll see you soon. Take care.
Have a good night, brothers.
Have a good night.
Right.
Good night.